This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net starts in around 5 minutes.
0TX repeater.
This is K1DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations please stand by. Hello and welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net for September 2nd, or 3rd, 2025. It's a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general. And thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. My name is Daron. I'll be this evening's net control. Tonight we'll be taking your check-ins, comments, questions, updates, and more. We meet every Wednesday, except the third Wednesday of the month at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time on 145.490 and 448.625. Both have a negative offset. You can contact us via Elmer at w0tx.org and most social media at Denver Radio Club. We also stream and archive our nets on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So if you'd like to see behind the scenes of the net or visual context, or you're unable to make the repeaters, that's an additional way to participate in the net. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. That would be the first letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics, for the call sign at least, and indicate if you have any traffic or questions as you check in. You can follow along with the check-in process if you'd like, w0tx.org/check-in. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Kilowatt Delta 0, Charlie Golf Fox, Kenny, and Thornton with traffic tonight.
WD0CIV, WD0CIV, Charles and Denver, no traffic.
This is K1DBC Net Control. Hold up there for just a moment. Net Control would like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins: KD0CGF Kenny with traffic and WD0CIV Charles. Thank you both so much for checking in. We'll go ahead and up the whole alphabet. We're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
KE0SUM, Jonathan, Lakewood.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening. Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India. Ron in Lakewood.
W0TX repeater.
This is K1 DBC Net Control. I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. That time we had KE0 SUM, Jonathan, N0TRP, Jim, and KF0 FPI, Ron. Thank you all so much for checking in. Another call. This is the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. Great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics. If you'd like to check in just for the count, or if you have any traffic or questions, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Not hearing anything at the moment. We'll take check-ins throughout the net, but if you don't hear anybody talking and you'd like to jump in to check in, please feel free to do so at any time. With that, we'll throw it over to Jonathan, or Kenny, KD0CGF with traffic. The net is yours.
Good evening, Daron, and everyone on the net tonight. So, the question I have is involving radials. I've currently been thinking about this problem. It's on a Hustler 4-band TV vertical antenna. And I'm looking at converting it to the 5-band, and where my issue lies is the radials. It's a ground-mounted antenna, and this actually presents two questions. The 80-meter radial is 67 foot long, and my yard, I don't have the room to put it straight. So the question would be is, can you take the radial, let me drop for a second. Can you take the radial and say like the last 5 or 7 feet or so and kind of go a different direction with it? Or do the radials just have to be essentially dead straight? This is KD0CGF. I'll ask the second question here in a minute.
Great question. Antenna radials, do they need to be perfectly straight, or can they veer off slightly without having the appropriate amount of space? I don't know specifically on that, but if anybody has any information, if you've used an antenna that's used radials, do they have to be perfectly straight, or can they veer off somewhat down the line? Anyone else on that? Go ahead.
A comment, SUM.
Yeah, Jonathan, SUM, go ahead.
Yeah, radios are an interesting topic. I've been looking at, I looked at one that I've read about called the POTA Performer, which is interesting because it works a lot differently with the radials about 3 feet above the ground. But no, I don't believe a radial bent at an angle. Well, it's just like an antenna. You can run it across the top of your roof. If you don't have enough room, drop it off or make a right angle out of it. You just have to check your SWR. It's going to affect it to some degree. So yeah, I'd say I wouldn't worry about, but I don't know how many radios you're using. And because I tend to use now, when I'm mobile, I use a Faraday cloth, which works really well. Though I've played with radios a long time. Yeah, you have to get the length right, and plus you're looking at 80 meters, so yeah, you need a pretty long wire. KE0SUM, back to net.
KD0SUM, KD0CGF. I think I might have messed up your call sign. I do apologize. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's been an interesting thought. And on the amount of radials, according to the manual, which I believe is from 1992 is the one I'm looking at, it said that it requires a minimum of 2 radials per band. So my next question would be, we have 90 degrees to play with, and in that 90 degrees, can I offset the radials by 10 degrees each radial, and would that interfere with the other bands? So I'm trying to think of a better way to put it, but that's the way my brain's interpreting it. KD0CGF, back to net.
So I have a question. What antenna are we working with? You stated it was a vertical, and how high up is it?
It's the Hustler 4B TV, trap vertical, and currently it's got the modification for the 40-meter band, but I'm doing research to see if I can convert it to a 5 BTV trap vertical antenna. I'm trying to see what the height is in total here. Give me a second.
Excellent question. While he's looking that up, this is K1 DBC Net Control over on arl.org/verticals. They state you don't have to run the radials in straight lines. In fact, you don't have to run them underground, but you do need to install as many radials as possible for each band on which the antenna operates. Depending on the type of soil, you may get away with a dozen, or you may have to install as many as 100. A bunch more information, we can jump back. But if you're ready, Kenny, CGF, go ahead.
My apologies, Duran. I think I doubled with you there in the beginning.
Sorry about that. Not a problem. Go right ahead.
Yeah, now I'm commenting. I have to do some reading to see the overall height, because I wasn't seeing it right off the bat. KD0CGF, back to net.
Comment.
SUM, go right ahead.
So I was drones rolling through the specs here online, and they list that the different cuts how long you should make it for the different bands. So are you going to lay out a radial for each band, and you're trying to work with propagation? So with that comes, your radial pattern you're going to try to tune, but have you actually tried to see what your SWR is and what's going on at 80 meters?
W0TX repeater.
Yet. I'm still waiting on a couple more parts to come in. I just got one radial laid down right now. And interestingly enough, where I got the measurements for the radials, and I was just messing around with the Copilot AI that's built into Windows, and I asked it, what are the list the radial lengths for quarter wave, and I went through quarter wave and half wave and 1/8, and just to see what the difference was, really. And that's where I came up with the 67-foot length for it. KD0 CGF back to net.
But did it affect your SWR? And have you tried transmitting on 80 meters? The specs for the antenna don't include 80 meters.
I have not tried transmitting on 80 meters yet. At least I can't say I recall. But for the 4B TV, there is a 75-80 meter resonator that goes on the top of it. And like I was saying, I haven't done any testing or any tuning or any of that yet, because I've been working on my backyard project, and I got one of the radios laid down, but I'm still trying to figure out if I just want to go with the classic mounting of the radials to the base of the antenna, or if I want to do like a radial plate at the bottom of the antenna that's mounted to the base to where I can connect all the radios to nice and neatly. I'm still indecisive. KD0 CGF.
Well, with that antenna, from what I'm seeing online, of course, it only says it goes up to 40 meters, but they have 6 points, and they want 2 wires each radials cut to a certain length. So, in theory, that's what, well, not probably in theory, they probably got it in practice. That would be the way you should do it, and yeah, you'd want to down a puck to plug them all into, I guess. So if you're a permanent installation, that's probably not a good idea.
I do agree, and yeah, that picture Daron's got up now, that's actually what it was like at the base of the antenna for the radials going to it. I think what it is I'm just trying to re-engineer and just trying to re-engineer it. Trying something new, trying different ideas to see if they would work.
So, how does it work on the rest of the band? 10 through 40.
The rest of the bands, it does all right. I don't remember which band was not well tuned, and I think it was actually the 40-meter band I was having a little trouble with. 20 meters, I think, was had a 2 on the SWR. And then after the day came where I ripped up one of the radials to get ready for the yard project, I tested it, and it was like a 2.3, so it was still under 3, but it wasn't great. but I haven't attempted to really do anything with it since I decided to start my yard project.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I was trying to go through the 5BT manual to see if they listed the lengths in there, but they do not. Yeah, looking at a few Google searches, 60-something feet or so for the 80-meter band, I think is a fairly general consensus. And as Jonathan was mentioned, just try it and see, measure your SWR, and maybe you'll need it longer, maybe you'll need it shorter, but I guess no harm in trying it. But yeah, let us know. So yeah, anyone else on that or anything else, go right ahead.
Tuners sometimes, which I kind of agree with. I like a resonant antenna better, but no, I have no hesitation in hitting the tune button on my G90. KE0SUM, back to that.
This is K1DBC Net Control. I believe I doubled over there, Jonathan. If you want to go ahead and try that again, go right ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, I think I was just restating, with radials, I wouldn't be too concerned with the pattern of them. Powder, you just throw them out in whatever direction. So that is just a matter of a little bit of testing, things like that. So, yeah, it's experimentation, like all antennas.
Yeah, so what I'll do, once I get to that stage where I decide how I want the radial plate or connect the radials to the antenna, what I'll do for you guys is I'll unhook the radials, take all the readings, and then hook the radials up and then take the readings again, and I'll share the results with you guys when I get them.
Excellent. Sounds good. Thanks. Appreciate the follow-up from both of you there. Yeah, we'd love to know because probably save you some money, I'm guessing, instead of having to purchase another antenna and maybe just getting away with using the appropriate radials. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else? We had checking in online, Alex, KS0E, welcome. Evening, welcome to the net here. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
November 1, Zulu Tango Tango, and in Denver, no traffic.
All right, Net Control, we'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. N1ZTT, Daniel, and AF0E. Alex, thank you both so much for checking in. I guess I'll take this chance to take official check-ins. If you're just tuning in, if you'd like to check in just for the count or if you have traffic or questions, this is a great place to learn about ham radio. So if you'd like to check in, we're taking all call signs and all call suffixes. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
0TX repeater.
Once more, this is K1DBC Net Control. If you'd like to check in to the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net just for the count, or if you have any traffic or questions, let us know your call sign, your name. And again, if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I guess just some brief information on that. Lima India 2 Bravo was the amateur radio call sign of the Kon-Tiki ham raft expedition, 1947. Through the expedition, Thor Heyerdahl tried to prove that it was possible for people from South America to have crossed the Pacific from east to west and thereby to settle the Polynesian islands. Heyerdahl was accompanied by 5 crew members, including former Norwegian underground radio operators Knut Hogland and Torstein Rabi. Throughout the 101-day voyage, the expedition members collected meteorological and oceanographic data and sent them to the United States via widely spread ham radio stations. The expedition's scientific and radio apparatus were among their only concessions to the use of modern equipment. During that voyage, LI-2B kept a schedule with W1AW and other U.S. stations. Just trying to find some more information here. That was from hamgallery.com. Over on airall.org, there's a lot more information. Let me see if I can find. The expedition carried 3 watertight radio transmitters, one for 40 and 20 meters and one for 10 meters, and a third on 6 meters. Each unit used 2 E30 tubes, providing 10 watts of RF input. There's a backup radio generator aboard, as radio gear aboard as well. The Kon-Tiki also had on board a national NC-173 receiver, dry batteries, which proved problematic during the voyage, and a hand-cranked generator supplied the power. Quite a lengthy article, but if you want to hear more, let me know. I can continue on reading that, but that was from 2014, an article on ARL.org. The most unusual expedition ever to rely on amateur radio ended 67 years ago. So, anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? We have plenty of time here still. Anyone else? Please call in.
Well, I'll comment if you want me to. SUM.
Jonathan, KE0SUM, go right ahead.
Well, I think what I've been thinking about lately is the local repeaters in ham traffic. The repeater traffic seems to be down considerably in the Denver area. Don't know why that is. People keep buying radios, but you don't hear them. So I'm retired, so I turn my radio on in the morning and listen. I scan probably 20 repeaters. So people come into the store and ask me what repeaters are really active. And normally I tell them the 145, Colorado Connection 310, Sky Hub Link sometimes at 449 500. But the thing is, I don't hear activity on this club's repeater not very often at all. So it's kind of hard to steer people to a repeater that doesn't get much traffic. Now, I don't know how you increase traffic on a repeater. We all listen to you on Wednesday nights, but I don't know if it drives traffic to the repeater. I'd like to hear if anybody else thinks, but I think traffic's been really low. KU0SUM, back to net.
This is K1 at DBC Net Control. Yeah, great question there. It seems to be quite a frequent topic here recently, but it is quieter on the nets and quieter on the bands. It seems like, or on the repeaters. And as you mentioned, I guess causation doesn't equal correlation. Just because we have nets weekly doesn't necessarily mean that there's always tons of traffic throughout the week. Yeah, that's a great question. I think we've been trying to scratch our heads and figure out better solutions to drive more people to our not only our nets but our repeaters themselves, so that when we do suggest using a repeater, people don't just key up and there's nothing there for anyone to respond back to. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Anyone else though on that? Go right ahead.
Do you think more of the club members are interested in HF rather than VHF?
This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anecdotally, potentially, I think there's more interest maybe on the HF side. Maybe having a $20 Bofang isn't enough for everyone. I mean, it's really cheap and easy to get into the VHF, UHF side of things. People maybe have more interest in HF, but I don't know. But yeah, anything else on that, Jonathan, or anyone else? Go right ahead.
MPI.
This is K1 DBC Net Control. We had K0BF checking in online. Dustin, thank you so much for that. And then we had FPI Ron. I'll get back to here in a second. I think the only way we could maybe measure this is by recording, like for a week or a month, our repeaters and see how frequent people are using them and what interests people have and why they would use them. But I'm not too sure. KF0 FPI. Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been in the club and had a ticket since 21. And I believe I joined DRC that same time period. And what I have noticed is this repeater's never really had much daily traffic at all. I mean, Siren Day, yes. So I think it's been about the same for all the time that I've been a DRC member. What has changed is we used to have 15 to 25 guys on the nets, and now we've been single digits. I'm not too sure why. I find them all interesting, and I try to make them all, but I've noticed that number dwindling big time, and I'm sure the board members are brainstorming to try to get that count up. KFC Rep PI, back to the net.
KD0 CGF with a comment.
All right, thanks for the follow-up there, FPI Ron. Yeah, it's probably not always been super busy on the repeater daily activity, but yeah, I will agree the numbers for our weekly nets have been dwindling, unfortunately. KD0 CGF, Kenny, the net is yours.
So I've noticed it too over the last few years. When I first got into ham radio back in 07, I used to monitor the Squaw Mountain repeater. And granted, me monitoring the repeaters, the local repeaters that I'm primarily on, were because of my father. So I had to stay in contact with him, as well as Mom. She's a ham operator too. And we switched over to the DRC and found out that the repeater was a lot better and whatnot. So I slowly switched over, and finally I got into a schedule where I'm always on it, or at least always listening to it as much as I can. And then the Wednesday night net, I love talking to everyone, so why I'm here. Let me drop for a second. But the one thing I've noticed, I've always enjoyed listening to the 9-4 machine for two particular reasons. One was during severe weather, and from my knowledge, I'm sure it's changed since then, I don't know, was the Skywarn group would talk on that to the National Weather Service out of Boulder. And that's how I was kind of able to stay on top of the weather patterns going on. And I became a certified spotter probably, 7 years ago at this point. And I participate every once in a while in that. But ever since the changeover to the, I believe it's the Aries group, the way they split it up, I just haven't participated. Haven't really monitored. And the Colorado Connection, it being a wide state repeater, let me drop for a second. I don't know how much time I got on the repeater for defaults. The Colorado Connection, it's a very powerful machine, and I see that it's active, and I think the biggest perk for it is everyone just sees that it's connected to the entire state. Someone's always on it, generally every hour for the CERN operators, which I think is really cool. But, yeah, then I lose train of thought. Sorry about that. This is KD0CGF back to net.
Do you think the Colorado Connection actually encourages rag chews?
I don't know. I'm still really vague on the term rag chew, personally. So I'm not too sure how to respond to that specifically. But at the same time, I see the Colorado Connection as, since it's a statewide repeater system, being it more used for priority traffic or checking status of somebody, and I see it more on the official use. But I know you can get on there and just talk. But I think that's about the best way I can put it. I do apologize. This is KD0CGF.
Well, I don't think they discourage rag chewing, but I think what it is when you talk on the Colorado Connection, you open up statewide repeaters. So you're transmitting all over the place. It's not like us here talking on the 49. So I agree with you. The 940 gets some activity, but yeah, I don't know that you discourage it because they can always break in. But you're using so many repeaters, and it takes time to set and reset them. It's just probably not a great idea.
I do agree. I've noticed that too. Sometimes when someone's too quick to key up, I've noticed that. I forget which repeaters it was on the Colorado Connection, but I noticed the overlap in the audio, and they don't mean it. And I've can't say I've seen it. I've heard about it or heard of it before when I would monitor it.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, great question, great follow-ups. Really do appreciate that. Yep, none of our repeaters are interlinked, and there's probably a double-edged swords with the interlinking repeater, as you guys were mentioning there. There's a bunch of repeaters attached to the Colorado Connection, so you have to be very careful. Rag chewing is just casual conversation, unrelated to a net or anything official, really. I'd imagine. I mean, it looks like they have on-air nets posted. They probably don't discourage it, but yeah, you do have to be very, very careful because of the 12 plus repeaters interlinked throughout the state that you'll be transmitting over, at least on the Colorado Connection. So maybe interlinking part of our repeaters might drive some traffic, potentially. I'm not too sure. People don't always have great coverage to certain repeaters and certain others, but yeah, great questions, great follow-up. 8 to 10 p.m. or so. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else? Please call in.
Yes, you have one more comment. I mean, Colorado Connection is designed to help people in emergencies, and that's why they have statewide coverage. So if you call, let's see, Mayday, no, break a few times, yeah, they're going to respond, and that's probably the idea, because you can, if you program them in, I can drive all over the state and pretty much get coverage. KU0SUM, back to net.
This is KD0CGF for ID. Yeah, let's say that was one of the interesting things when I was real little, and Dad was with the Aurora repeater. I forget the frequency it operated on, but I think that repeater's now down. It had the auto patch system, and I know the 9.4 machine has the auto patch system. And you can, I forget if you can dead key it or you would hold a tone, and it would connect you to the state patrol office, and you can get help that way. That was one of my biggest reasons why I stayed towards the 9.4 machine as well. But to give you some insight, Jonathan, one of the reasons why I was looking at 80 meters is I noticed there's some nets, like the Colorado region net, and the reason why I was looking at these nets on 80 meters was because they were at a time of day where nothing was going on the radio, and there wasn't any nets going on the DRC repeaters as well. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I was looking at 80 meters. KD0CGF, back to net.
Well, you're lucky enough to have the room to do 80 meters. I'll say that. I wish you luck with that. KU0SUM, back to net.
Excellent. Sounds good. Yeah, appreciate the follow-up on that and the intentions on that. So, plenty of nets out there, either on our website listed or on plenty of other clubs, and plenty of information online of HF nets if anybody's interested. Had a comment in here by Dustin K0BF mentioning for rag chewing. I think the concept isn't a lot of the misconception is that people think it isn't allowed on a lot of repeaters. If you want more traffic on the repeater, make it known that it is okay to rag chew. Yeah, that's a great follow-up. K0BF. Yeah, make people feel comfortable and they'll probably come back around. So yeah, great follow-up with everything. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else? Go right ahead.
KD0CGF, I do have a comment on the rag chewing.
CGF, go right ahead.
So, the rag chewing to me, so I've been a ham operator I became a ham when I was 07, so I was a junior in high school. And I don't generally share this, especially over the airwaves, just because of the old school mentality behind it and some stuff that's been put in my head. But I'm a truck driver by trade. And yes, when I drove the lower 48, I had a CB radio and the semi-truck. And I tried not to mix as best I can the CB stuff into the ham radio world, and I try to keep it separated. And when I hear the word rag chewing, to me that's a bunch of people, like you guys hear about what goes on Channel 19 or Channel 6, which I guess they called the Super Bowl channel. All of that you hear on those channels, that's what I think the rag chewing is. And that's why it's hard for me to respond when someone says, when someone talks about the rag chew on ham radio. It just makes it difficult. This is KD0CGF, back to net.
Comment, SUM.
Oh, gotcha. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Some potentially negative connotations. KE0SUM. Go right ahead.
No, rag chewing is very much. I had a CB radio in like 1972, 3, and yes, you get on and just chat with people. Well, now when I got my license in 2018, I got on the 145 repeater, and I met probably 8 or 10 or more people. But sometimes we get in a chat in a rag chew. It wasn't between 2 people. It was between maybe 4 or 5 people on different subjects. It's a lot like a net. So, no, a rag chew is not a negative thing. And I think the only place I'd hesitate to do a rag chew or a long transmission about stuff nobody's interested in except me and the recipient, it would be the Colorado connection. Well, I'd never hesitate to get on this repeater and talk as long as I wanted. Back to net.
Sounds good, Jonathan. SUM, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yes, there is a Venn diagram between ham radio, CB radio, the prepping community. I think there's a lot of overlaps, and sometimes some people in each community have certain faults of their own. But it's too bad to hear. But this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, we love people jumping on here. As we've mentioned, most of the time there's not a whole lot of people on here, but a lot of people are monitoring. Keep that in mind. People are listening, and if you ever want to jump on, don't hesitate to. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else? We have another 10 or so minutes. Please call now.
You make a valid point, Ron, because we have 11 check-ins so far this evening, but how many people are just either mic shy or just listening? A lot of people buy radios just to listen, but I'm not sure. Is it mic fright? I don't think we're all that bad of people to talk to.
Exactly. I wish we could measure that statistic. I wish we could know that number, but unfortunately not. I don't think technically feasible or able to do so. But for anybody ever is listening out there, whether you're licensed or unlicensed, you can always jump on our YouTube if you'd like. If anybody's ever wanting to jump in on a net or anything else, we don't bite, and it's a good place just to hang out for an hour and discuss a lot of our nerdy hobbies. With that, comments, questions, check-ins, anything else? Go right ahead. I guess with that, I'll take official check-ins. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. It's a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics. If you'd like to check in just for the count, or if you have any traffic or questions, let us know your name, call sign, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
KD0CGF with a comment.
Yeah, KD0CGF with a comment, then that's yours.
kind of random. I'm trying to get one of my coworkers addicted to ham radio. He's his name's Matt. He's a pilot, and I forget what kind of pilot's license he has. But he's really interested in the ham radio, and I think it blows his mind when I start talking radios and antennas with them, and my furthest contacts, and some of the other guys, it blows their mind. And I'm slowly getting him there. And admittedly, he went out and got a CB radio and put it in his truck, but he came to me to ask me what kind of antenna should I get, what coax, where should replacement be. He actually got into pretty good detail on trying to get it tuned correctly without any additives to it. I think he succeeded, but it's kind of like, I don't know if I should say this, a gateway drug into radio, the world of radio. So I feel like it won't be too long before he upgrades to either a GMRS radio or actually goes out and gets his license and gets on the airwaves with us. KD0 CGF back to net.
Actually, that brings up the question. Jerome, you should ask everybody listening to say if they started with a CB radio like I did. I guess Alex did too.
All right, that's very cool stuff there, Kenny, KD0CGF. Yeah, great to have more people into the fold. And I started in my youth as I probably watched some movie or something with a ham radio, and without getting licensed, I just went out and got a CB radio, and so that was kind of my introduction into it as well. So I'm sure it's a lot of others people. Yeah, Jonathan, yeah, very good point there. Yeah, anyone on that CB radio usage, maybe as your first hobby or first introduction to radio? Anyone comment on that? Go right ahead.
My first radio was a police scanner that was built back in 1995, and it was given to me at 97 or 98, and I wore the keypad out on that, just listening, and that's where I started. KD0 CGF back to net.
Very cool stuff there. You actually reminded me. I did have I think in the mid-90s, I had a Radio Shack scanner as well. So I think that maybe was an introduction as well. Yeah, I can't remember, but it's always kind of these niche little things that get us interested into this. Yeah, anyone else, though, on that? Another 10 minutes still or so. And again, GMRS, 5 watts. No license or no testing required. So if anybody does want to get their friends or family interested into radio at 5 watts, GMRS, a great way to do so. About $35 for the license, but no test free. So pretty cool stuff there, and it covers up to like 5 people in a family. So if one person has a GMRS license, it covers multiple people. So really cool stuff there. Yeah, anyone else? CB radio, GMRS, FRS. I guess back in the day, we had FRS radios with my family when going skiing up in the mountains. Yeah, very cool stuff. Anyone else? Go right ahead.
Comment, SUM.
Jonathan, SUM. Go ahead.
Yeah, you brought up GMRS, which I think is great. $35 covers your whole family for like 10 years. So, yeah, it's a great deal, which works well in certain situations, personal communications to and from. But good luck finding anybody on a GMRS repeater, which we have several here in the Denver Front Range, talking very much. Yeah, it's sort of like FRS. Of course, that's really low power, but Yeah, you don't hear traffic on GMRS hardly at all in my mind.
KD0CGF with a comment.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comment there, SUM. Pretty good point. I guess interoperability between ham radio and GMRS. I guess technically some of our radios are capable of doing GMRS, but you do need a license. What else was I going to say? But yeah, if there's not a whole lot of repeaters and they're not really frequently used anyway, it's not going to be great for talking with a ton of other people. KD0CGF, go right ahead.
So earlier we were talking about how the bands have been a little quiet, and interestingly enough, I gotta disagree with Jonathan a little bit. I have not monitored it a whole lot for GMRS, but so far every time I have gone on, I do admit I do hear some traffic on, don't know which frequency it is, but I do hear some traffic, and there's a net or two that I've picked up on every once in a while. But I almost feel like GMRS is starting to make a little bit more improvement, because I remember when I was a couple years ago when I was playing around with it, I didn't hear anything. But over the last year or so, I have seen an increase on GMRS. KD0CGF back to net.
You know which repeaters they're using here in town?
I would have to look up the list. I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say one of them something like 300 is what it's called, or see that tells you how much I pay attention to it. KD0CGF.
All right, great question. Yeah, great follow up. Yeah, it may not be as dead as we think it may be, but I'm thinking a lot of 4x4 groups potentially use these. A lot of rescue groups use this as well, potentially for interoperability. Yeah, I was trying to find as well, but looks like one of them is frontrangegmrs.com. Looks like they have the repeaters behind a sign-in link. Great question, great follow-up. Yeah. Anyone else, though, on that or anything else? We have just a few more minutes. Go right ahead.
Hey, Daron, that Metro 600 one, I believe that was the one. So, Jonathan, Metro 600, is there a frequency for that one? Does it show up?
This is K1 DBC Net Control. Just had to sign up for a free account there. Repeaters, the one you mentioned. Let's see if I scroll back up to it. It doesn't seem as signed in. Let's see if I can find it here the next minute here. But anyone else on that, go right ahead.
Well, I know a lot of you guys are talking about TV, but going back to the topic of what got me started was shortwave radio is what got me introduced into any kind of radio. So, but that was back in the mid-'60s. And one ZTT, back to that.
N1ZTT. Very cool follow-up there. Appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. You could buy a really cheap $10, $15 weather radio or a shortwave radio pretty easily back in the day and even easily now. So yeah, absolutely. That's a great follow-up on that as well. I don't think that Front Range GMRS wants me to put some of this public, but you can just go up and sign up for a free account. And let me see if I can just find one of these. Let's see here.
0TX repeater.
No, it looks like it'll take a second or two for me to find that. But yeah, great follow-up on that Metro 600 one. Looks like it would be potentially a pretty a fairly popular one. Located North Glen near 102nd Avenue in Earl Lane. Repeater provides excellent Metro for both mobiles and handheld radios. Also provides excellent mobile coverage on I-70. Anyone else? We just ticked over or so. 8:31. We'll probably start to wrap the net up here. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else for the net? Please call now.
KD0CGF with a new comment.
Yeah, go right ahead, KD0CGF. The net's yours.
The gentleman talking about shortwave, you just reminded me I had this thing sitting in front of me on my desk. I'm staring at it the entire net. It was brought to me. It was a Heathkit HD16. For those of you that don't know, it's a Heathkit Morse code oscillator. And apparently this one was built with my uncle and my grandpa. And I don't know when they built it, but he served in World War II. And I'm sitting here looking at it yesterday, and one of the knobs is really stiff. And I found out one of the pot knobs, I can't pronounce it, the knobby thing for the volume was so stiff. And I took it out, and we thought the knob was just on too tight. Well, it turns out the actual knob itself, like the whole component, is actually stiff as can be. So I'm on the hunt for a new 10K pot. Sounds weird. But yeah, I thought it was something interesting. KD0CGF, back to net.
Very cool stuff there. Looking at the Heathkit HD16 practice kit there. Really cool stuff there. Yeah, potentiometer, the 10K potentiometer. I know Micro Center has dabbled in some of the basic electronics. They may still have some of that stuff there locally, but yeah, probably online is your best bet. Real cool stuff there, yeah. So hopefully that encourages you to try to do some practicing. Have you done any practicing, or have you tried to use it at all?
No. We figure it's probably been sitting in the closet for well over 30 years at this point. And the 9-volt batteries were some 9-volt batteries out of the 70s. Rechargeable batteries. And so I'm not going to attempt to recharge 9-volt batteries from 1970. But I figured I'd open it up and check it out and make sure everything looked okay before I stuck any power to it. So I'm going to replace that knob and then hook it up and play with it and get the little light to flash and get some Morse code practice in. The only thing I don't have is the code key. And that's, I've been on the hunt for one, but I'm not looking for expensive, and I'm not looking for like the cheapest thing out of a piece of 3D printed plastic. So I haven't really looked in depth, but I have been keeping an eye out. It's one of the side projects. KD0CGF, back to net.
Very cool. Thanks for letting us know. Thanks for the update there. Yeah, you don't want that magic black smoke or whatever coming out of it, having done something accidental and just trashing the whole piece. So very cool stuff there. Yeah. Again, we normally run about an hour or so, but there's no hard stop. But again, a lot of us can probably talk till the cows come home, so that's why we try to keep it around an hour. But if anybody else has any other last minute comments, questions, check-ins, anything else, go right ahead. All right, real quick, I'll cover club business and then call for last-minute check-ins in just a moment here. Over on our website, w0tx.org, we have a recent newsletter put out, our roundtable. Jerry Vilhauer, club president, has given a little bit of a brief background of his recent trip to Oshkosh, Wisconsin for AirVenture. Over 700,000 attendees, well over 10,000 aircraft, nearly 1,000 vendors and displays, and 6,000 volunteers. He and his family, this isn't written down, but I believe have volunteered there. I forget on which plane for quite some time. And that was something I meant to bring up, but for next time. RMHAM's Summer Swap Fest happened on August 24th. And then October 25th through the 26th, HamCon Colorado in Grand Junction. So appreciate everyone helping there. And then this month we're having our meeting on September 17th. It is going to be hybrid like we did a couple of months ago, in person at the Lakewood Police Department, and online via our w0tx.org webpage. So more information will come out on our page on that very soon here. Let's see if I have anything else on that. So anyone else? Last minute check-ins, comments, or questions, go right ahead.
Is DRC hosting any more events this summer? SUM.
Yes, I believe so. A lot of this is being put together by Pete Sabansky, AB8WN call sign. I was trying to confirm the call sign. AB8WN. September 27th, Radio Fun event where we'll get together to try some new radios, new ways to use the radio. Looking to show off some digital communications. Bring your handheld and get it set up. Possibly show off slow scan television and VARA. To be determined on the location. And then October 18th, we'll have a build day. We'll be building an antenna or simple project build. Prior to the event, there'll be a presentation on the project they're going to build. As the event gets closer, more details will be sent out. More info, w0tx.org/DRC-Saturday. And there's some photos of our recent events. One that occurred this past month at our field or Parks on the Air, which was pretty neat. That was at the Colorado QSO party, or the Parks on the Air. Excuse me. That was Rocky Flats in July, and then this past weekend on the 30th, we had the. Sorry, just dropped there for a moment. August 30th, we had the Colorado QSL party at the Prospect Arena. We do have two more events again, September 27th, October 18th. More information on our website. All right, just ticking over about to 8:40. Again, this will be, I say final call a few times here. Kind of defeats the purpose of the word final, but this will be the final call. Last minute comments, questions, check-ins. Go right ahead.
0TX repeater.
All right, with that, we'll wrap the net up then. Again, thank you everyone who checked in. Count of 10, really appreciate that. Better than nothing. And that's why we continue to put this net on. Regardless of how many people check in, regardless of how many people participate, we'll still continue to put this net on. Because it's much bigger than just myself, and it's for our group and for our community. With that, again, thanks everyone for checking in. Thanks for the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use their repeaters. Join us again the third Wednesday of the month, 6 p.m. for an Elmers session. Prior to the regularly scheduled Denver Radio Club at 7. W0tx.org for more information on that. With that, join us next week, 7:30 p.m. for the next Learning Net. This is K1DBC, Net Control 7.3, and I will be clear.